Here's Grandpa's 38 oddly useful BBQ hacks you'll wish you knew sooner. 1. Use an onion to clean the grill grates. Before turning on the heat, Grandpa would grab half an onion, stab it with a grilling fork, and rub it across the grates. The natural acids in the onion help cut through leftover grease and char. As the grill heats up, the onion's moisture steams away grime while leaving behind a faint savory aroma. It's completely natural. No harsh chemicals or wire brushes involved. Plus, it helps season the grates and keeps future food from sticking. He always swore food tasted better after an onion cleaning. It was his secret to a clean start and flavorful finish. 2. Light charcoal with egg cartons. When Grandpa didn't have lighter fluid, and he usually didn't, he reached for empty cardboard egg cartons. He'd fill each egg pocket with charcoal and light the edges of the carton. The paper caught fire quickly and burned long enough to get the charcoal smoldering. No petroleum taste, no extra cost. Just a reliable way to start a grill with something you were going to throw out anyway. It's the kind of no-waste wisdom that came from decades of backyard cookouts, and it works like a charm every time. 3. Add wood chips for flavor without a smoker. Grandpa loved smoky flavor, even without a fancy smoker. He'd soak a handful of wood chips, like hickory or applewood, in water for at least 30 minutes. Then he'd wrap them in foil, poke a few holes in the pouch, and toss it directly on the coals or over the gas flame. The result? A slow, aromatic smoke that infused ribs, burgers, and even veggies with rich depth. He'd experiment with different woods for different meats. It's a simple way to upgrade your BBQ game instantly. 4. Use a muffin tin for condiments. Instead of juggling multiple squeeze bottles and jars, Grandpa used an old muffin tin to hold all the BBQ condiments. Each cup got its own: ketchup, mustard, relish, chopped onions, pickles, you name it. It kept everything organized in one easy-to-carry tray. Guests loved it too. They could customize their plate without digging through containers. After the meal, it was a breeze to clean. Practical, efficient, and full of charm, this hack turned chaos into order at every cookout. 5. Chill meat before grilling for a better sear. Contrary to what most people think, Grandpa sometimes chilled meat before grilling. He'd put burger patties or steaks in the fridge for 15 to 20 minutes before they hit the grill. The cold surface helped form a better crust without overcooking the inside. Especially for thicker cuts, this trick gave a great sear and helped lock in juices. He always emphasized the importance of temperature control. Cold meat, hot grill was his motto. That small chill gave him perfect grill marks and juicy centers every time. Would you like me to continue with more BBQ hacks from Grandpa, starting with tip number 6? 6. Use a 2-zone fire for better control. Grandpa never lit all the charcoal at once. He always created a 2-zone fire, hot coals on one side and none on the other. This let him grill steaks over high heat for a great sear, then move them to the cooler side to finish cooking without burning. It also saved the burgers and hot dogs from flare-ups. If something was cooking too fast, he could shift it over and let it rest in indirect heat. It's a simple method, but it gives you full control over how every piece of meat turns out. That's why his BBQs never had undercooked centers or burnt edges. 7. Grill fish on a bed of citrus slices. Grilling fish can be tricky. It sticks, flakes, and falls apart easily. Grandpa solved that by slicing lemons or oranges and laying them down as a bed directly on the grill grates. Then he'd place the fish on top. The citrus prevented sticking and added a gentle, aromatic flavor as it grilled. Plus, it made cleanup a breeze. The result was always perfectly cooked fish with a hint of brightness that balanced the smoky char. It looked impressive and tasted even better, a go-to trick for summer cookouts. 8. Make DIY BBQ skewers with rosemary sprigs. When wooden skewers weren't around, Grandpa would head to the herb garden. He'd cut thick rosemary branches, strip the leaves halfway down, and thread chunks of meat and veggies on the bare end. As they cooked, the rosemary released its oils, infusing the food with herbal flavor from the inside out. No need for basting or seasoning. Nature did it all. It smelled amazing on the grill and gave the skewers a rustic, homemade touch. This hack turned simple kebabs into something special. 9. Use a bread slice to pick up ashes. After the grill cooled down, cleaning up ash was always messy. Instead of using a paper towel, Grandpa grabbed a slice of old sandwich bread. He'd gently press it onto the ashes, and the bread picked everything up like a magnet. The crumbs soaked in the residue and left the surface cleaner with each swipe. It was biodegradable and compostable, so nothing went to waste. This hack kept his grill tidy and hands clean without a single chemical or special tool. 10th, put ice cubes in the patty for juicier burgers. Dry burgers were never an issue with Grandpa. He'd press a small ice cube into the center of each raw patty before grilling. As the burger cooked, the ice melted slowly, keeping the center moist without making the patty soggy. It worked especially well with leaner ground beef or turkey, which can dry out quickly over open flame. When you bit in, it was juicy from edge to center. No guesswork, just results. This was his secret weapon at every backyard cookout. 11th, use aluminum foil to clean the grill. If Grandpa ever forgot the grill brush or didn't want to dig it out, he'd crumble up a sheet of aluminum foil into a firm ball. While the grates were still warm, he'd grab the foil with tongs and scrub the surface clean. The foil was abrasive enough to lift grease and burnt-on bits, but gentle enough not to damage the metal. It worked just as well as any store-bought brush and didn't leave behind any bristles. It was cheap, easy, and disposable, just the kind of simple solution Grandpa loved. 12th, rub meat with mustard before seasoning. Before rubbing dry spices onto ribs or brisket, Grandpa would smear on a thin layer of yellow mustard. It acted as a binder, helping the seasoning stick evenly and form a crust as the meat cooked. The best part? The mustard flavor cooked off completely, leaving no trace. Just perfectly seasoned, beautifully barked meat. It worked for smoking, grilling, or oven roasting. He swore by it for deep flavor and consistent results. Don't knock it till you try it. It's one of those old tricks that never lets you down. 13. Use a cast iron skillet on the grill for delicate foods. For smaller or delicate items like cherry tomatoes, mushrooms, or sliced onions, Grandpa used a cast iron skillet right on the grill. This kept them from falling through the grates and gave them a beautiful sear with smoky flavor. It also meant fewer flare-ups and better control. He'd preheat the skillet, toss the veggies with oil and herbs, and then dump them straight in. The result? Perfect caramelization and minimal mess. Cast iron was a BBQ essential in his toolkit. 14. Soak wooden skewers to prevent burning. Before making kebabs, Grandpa would soak wooden skewers in water for at least 30 minutes. That way, they wouldn't catch fire or char too quickly once placed on the grill. Sometimes he even added a splash of lemon juice or wine to the soaking water to add subtle flavor. This small step made a big difference in how evenly the skewers cooked and how good they looked when served. It's one of those prep tricks that separates the pros from the beginners at the grill. 15. Use a cooling rack to grill more at once. When hosting a big crowd, Grandpa needed more grill space, and fast. He'd place a metal cooling rack on top of the main grill grates, creating a second level. This was perfect for hot dog buns, foil-wrapped veggies, or thinner cuts of meat that didn't need direct heat. It doubled his grill's capacity without buying a fancy multi-tier system. Plus, he could keep cooked items warm without drying them out. Efficient, clever, and completely free. It was Grandpa's version of grill expansion. 16. Create a smoke bomb with herbs and foil. Grandpa didn't need a smoker to get that woodsy aroma into his meat. When he wanted to add an herbal twist, he'd wrap rosemary, thyme, or sage in aluminum foil, poke a few holes in the top, and toss it onto the hot coals or burner. As it heated up, the herbs released their oils and created aromatic smoke. This infused the meat with subtle, earthy flavor, especially good for chicken or pork. It's a low-effort way to impress guests and make your BBQ taste gourmet, all using herbs from the garden. 17. Use brick presses for juicy chicken. When Grandpa grilled boneless chicken breasts or thighs, he'd often place a clean brick, wrapped in foil, on top of the meat. This weighed it down slightly, helping it sear evenly while keeping the juices locked in. It flattened the surface for better contact with the grates, which meant more browning and less drying out. A little pressure brings out the flavor, he'd say. This old-school trick made every piece tender and juicy without fail. And it looked pretty impressive, too. 18. Add beer to the marinade or drip tray. Grandpa didn't just drink beer, he cooked with it. He'd pour a bit into marinades to tenderize meat and add depth. But even better, he'd add beer to the drip tray beneath the grill or place a small foil pan underneath the grates. As the liquid steamed, it infused whatever was above it with malty, hoppy goodness. It worked especially well with sausages, pork chops, and bratwursts. The aroma alone would bring people to the yard before the meat was even ready. 19. Use a citrus halve as a basting brush. Forget the silicone brushes. Grandpa would take a halved lemon or orange, dip it in oil or marinade, and use it to baste meat directly. The juices combined with the fat for a flavor boost, while lightly caramelizing on the surface. He'd sometimes press garlic or herbs into the citrus for extra punch. It was all natural, disposable, and smelled incredible as it hit the heat. You could see the guests' faces light up with the scent. It's a trick that blends flavor and showmanship effortlessly. 20. Keep a spray bottle of apple cider vinegar nearby. Grandpa always kept a spray bottle filled with apple cider vinegar and water beside the grill. Every so often, he'd mist the meat, not just to cool it slightly, but to add acidity and balance the fat. The vinegar also helped the outside of ribs or brisket form a deep, flavorful crust. It worked wonders for pork and beef, especially during long grilling sessions. The spray also kept flare-ups down by cooling the surface just enough. Smart, cheap, and flavorful. Pure grandpa logic. 21st, use coffee grounds in your dry rub. Grandpa had a secret weapon in his spice cabinet: leftover coffee grounds. He'd add a spoonful to his dry rub when prepping brisket or ribs. The grounds helped form a dark, flavorful crust, while adding a subtle bitterness that balanced sweet and smoky flavors. Coffee's natural acidity also helped tenderize the meat slightly. It didn't taste like coffee once cooked, just deep, bold, and perfectly seasoned. This hack was especially loved during early morning BBQ sessions. Nothing like meat and coffee combining in harmony. 22nd, carve a foil tent for resting meat. After grilling, Grandpa never skipped the resting period, but instead of just plopping the meat on a plate, he'd create a loose foil tent. This trapped the warmth without steaming the meat, helping the juices redistribute evenly. Resting under the foil also softened the outer layer slightly, making the bite more balanced from crust to core. For big cuts like steak or chicken breast, he'd wait 5 to 10 minutes before slicing. The flavor finishes cooking when the flames stop, he'd say, and he was always right. 23rd, use a thermos to keep BBQ sauces warm. Cold BBQ sauce on hot meat, not under Grandpa's watch. He'd pour his homemade sauce into an old metal thermos before dinner. That way the sauce stayed warm and ready to serve without going back on the stove or grill. He said it made everything taste fresher and helped the sauce spread more evenly across ribs or pulled pork. It was also perfect for serving multiple sauces without a mess. Clever, resourceful, and incredibly convenient for big family BBQs. 24. Toast your buns on the grill for extra crunch. Before the burgers came off the heat, Grandpa always made room to toast the buns. He'd open them up and place them cut side down on the top rack or a cooler spot on the grates. Just a minute or two brought out the sweetness in the bread and added a crisp edge. Sometimes he'd even brush them with garlic butter or leftover meat drippings. The toasted buns held up better to juicy patties and toppings. No soggy sandwiches here. Small detail, big upgrade. 25. Make a fire starter using dryer lint and wax. When Grandpa needed to light the charcoal fast and didn't have kindling, he made homemade fire starters. He'd pack dryer lint into empty egg cartons, then pour melted candle wax over each cup. Once cooled, he'd break them apart and light one under the charcoal. The wax and lint burned steadily and long enough to ignite the coals, even on windy days. It was a zero-cost, ultra-reliable trick. Recycling and BBQ mastery in one. 27. Rub onion on the grill to prevent sticking. Before placing any meat on the grates, Grandpa would cut an onion in half and spear it on a fork. Then he'd rub it all over the hot grill grates. The onion's natural oils and moisture created a slick surface, helping prevent sticking while also adding a subtle aroma to the grill. It also acted as a natural disinfectant. Guests would always ask what made things smell so good before anything even hit the flame. Just another one of Grandpa's no-cost flavor boosters. 28. Freeze marinade in zip bags with meat for easy prep. Grandpa was big on prepping ahead, especially before big cookouts. He'd portion out his meat into freezer bags and pour the marinade in while the meat was raw. Then he'd freeze the entire bag. When it was time to grill, he'd just thaw it overnight in the fridge. As it defrosted, the meat absorbed the flavor. This hack saved time, locked in moisture, and made impromptu BBQs super simple, flavorful, juicy, and ready when you are. 29. Add hardwood chips for quick flavor infusion. Grandpa always kept a bucket of hardwood chips nearby: applewood, hickory, or mesquite. He'd soak them in water for 30 minutes, then toss a handful directly onto the coals or into a smoker box if using gas. The chips smoldered and filled the grill with a rich, smoky aroma. Even just 15 minutes of exposure gave meat a backyard smokehouse quality. He swore by using different woods for different meats: cherry for chicken, hickory for ribs. It was subtle but powerful. 30. Turn a muffin tin into a condiment bar. Serving BBQ for a crowd? Grandpa didn't use fancy trays. He pulled out an old muffin tin. Each cup held a different condiment: ketchup, mustard, relish, chopped onion, onions, pickles, even jalapenos. It kept the table organized, made cleanup easy, and prevented sauce bottles from getting lost or messy. Plus, it made guests feel like they were building their own perfect burger. It's a presentation trick that works as well today as it did 30 years ago. 31st, store charcoal with chalk to keep it dry. Grandpa never dealt with damp charcoal because he had a simple trick: throwing a few pieces of chalk into the charcoal bin. Chalk naturally absorbs moisture from the air, keeping the briquettes dry and ready to ignite. No more frustrating failed lights or wasted bags after a rainy week. He stored the charcoal in a metal trash can with a tight lid and a handful of chalk pieces at the bottom. Cheap, effective, and just the kind of low-tech genius he was known for. 32nd, make a DIY grill light with a clip lamp. Evening BBQs didn't stop when the sun went down. Grandpa would clamp a metal clip lamp onto the handle of the grill lid or nearby table, aiming it right at the grates. It gave him full visibility of every steak, burger, and kebab. No phone flashlight needed. He even used an LED bulb to save power and avoid heat. When guests saw how easy it was, they started copying it too. It turned late-night grilling into a breeze and looked pretty pro. 33rd, use ice cubes to prevent patty shrinkage. Grandpa's burgers were always big and juicy, not shrunken hockey pucks. His trick? Before grilling, he'd press a small ice cube into the center of each raw patty. As the burger cooked, the ice melted slowly, keeping the inside moist and helping the patty retain its shape. No more domed centers or dry edges. It's one of those little tricks that make a big difference, and guests always noticed how perfect the burgers turned out. 34, oil the grates with a potato. Another one of Grandpa's odd but it works tips. He'd slice a potato in half and rub it on the hot grill grates. The starch in the potato created a light film that helped prevent sticking without using any oil sprays. It also acted as a natural non-stick coating, especially useful when grilling delicate foods like fish. Guests thought it was a quirky ritual, but they couldn't argue with the results. Clean grill marks, easy flips, and no flare-ups.